It was like no raise, no promotion. And they were basically saying there were things that I needed to fix or improve in order to get that level up. But he, and I owe him everything, said to me, but I won't even tell you what those things are, because I know that if I tell you to go fix this thing, it's going to break what makes you great. Because he knew a truth, which is that our greatest strengths give birth to our greatest weaknesses. And what he was recognizing is that they were picking on weaknesses that were on the other side of the spectrum of what the actual gift was.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Mic Bites. I'm your host, Wise Grisette, RPA Community Manager and podcast enthusiast. Y'all can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, formerly known as X, at The Real Wise. That's WIZE. Now, today we're talking about what it means to build a business in a capitalist country, but still put your people first. We're pulling a clip from my conversation with Detavio Samuels, CEO of REVOLT, Offscript, and board member at Ben & Jerry's. And on this clip, he's going to break down what values-led leadership really looks like. Let's get into it.
I've been a leader my entire life, whether you're talking about sports or school or college or fraternity. I've always been in a leadership position. So, one could argue I've been training my entire life. But I think when leadership becomes super important to me as a skill set and a capability is back in 2004, I went to Stanford Business School. I went very young. Average person going to business school typically goes at 26, 27. I think I went at 22. So I was much younger than everybody. And when you go to a school like Stanford, your classmates are the best of the best. They're the cream of the crop. These are people who have been, some of my classmates had already made millions building and selling there. I literally had classmates that came to school to find classmates to invest in because they were already millionaires, right? So what is it that I'm going to do that's going to allow me to thrive in the world of business? And that's where I locked in on this idea of leadership. This notion that if I could develop a skill set and the capability of leading, not only would I be able to lead anyone, regardless of age, regardless of background, where they came from, I could lead any business in any category. I could go lead a railroad company. I could go lead a media company. And so for me, a key piece of my strategy became focus on building this leadership skill set, because if you build that, you can do anything and lead anyone. And I would say, honestly, looking back on it, it's probably one of the best decisions that I've made in terms of my professional career. I think Ben & Jerry's is an incredibly special brand. I don't know how these two incredible white dudes figured it out, decades ago, but this idea that you could actually use corporations, companies to do good in the world, that they didn't exist just to make money or profit. And they definitely didn't exist just to make one or two people profitable, right? That they could literally create and make change in the world. Ben & Jerry's, key thing is we use ice cream to change the world. And so I'm in love with this brand. I'm in love with what they built. And for me, I see it as the future of what corporate America will be. I'm excited about this new generation, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, because I think the more that they get into power, the more this idea of we're going to take companies that are not just capitalistic, but that are companies that can build and shape the world is going to be something that's more prevalent.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? In the last episode, we touched on South Africa and how important it is for brands to take a stand. And Ben & Jerry's did exactly that. They were one of the few companies in their industry that publicly supported the anti-apartheid movement. And that mindset is still baked into everything that they do today. So when Detavio talks about building a values-first business, he's not just theorizing. He's walking a path that has real roots and receipts.
I'm honored to sit on the board of Ben & Jerry's. I get to see from the inside exactly how it's done. And I will tell you that there's so many ideas that, yes, I get to contribute and help govern this really incredible brand. And I also get to learn a lot from the inside. And so there's so many things that I see happen on Ben & Jerry's, ideas that I can then bring to Revolt. I'll give you one example and then stop so I'm not rambling forever. But you've heard me talk about this notion of linked prosperity and shared adversity, something I've always believed in, but Ben & Jerry's gave me the language, right? Linked prosperity. When we win, everybody wins. When Ben & Jerry wins, everybody wins. That's why at Offscript you have the employees who are the largest shareholders, right? That's why you've had years where when business was doing well, employees got bonuses that were bigger than, most people would have ever expected. This idea that we will be prosperous together. But then also making sure that people know that in tough times, business isn't always going to be good, right? When you're building a business, they say it takes 10 years to build a business. You're not going to have 10 good years. You're going to have some tough
Mhm.
years that you're going to have to weather, right? And when it gets to those moments, we expect and we need everybody to have shared adversity, right? And so that language that Ben and Jerry's has given me that helps you build it and crystallize it in the brands that you're building or the companies that you're building. It's those types of things that I'm eternally grateful for. So I get to give a lot to Ben and Jerry's, but for me, I'm grateful that Ben and Jerry's gives a lot to me.
Activism, equity, and inclusion have been three words that have been kind of bouncing around in my head since I had my conversation with Detavio. But what's most important to me is that seat at Ben and Jerry's was not just a title. Detavio has taken that perspective and used it to shape how he runs Revolt, how he built Offscript, and how he shows up for creators. His entire approach is centered on culture, responsibility, and leveling up while still staying grounded.
I personally am a man of God, that is my center, my core, my everything, that everything that I do is rooted in that. And so if you ever hear stories about my character that run counter to that truth, don't believe them. God sits at the center of everything that I do. I am a servant leader. I am people first. I'm not here trying to build a company or a media company just so that I can get rich and build wealthy. I'm out here trying to I was just to say Revolt is not just a media company, it's an engine for transformative change, right? I am trying to do what I have learned is possible from things like Ben and Jerry's, which is make the world a better place. And so, sometimes on the path of doing that, you're gonna mess up. Sometimes you're gonna hurt feelings. Sometimes, again, everything's not gonna be perfect. But I want people to know my heart. I want people to understand why I'm here and what I'm doing. And again, you hear it, and if you ever see me acting out of character, then you should feel free to hold me accountable as well, but I want people to know who I am at my core.
Man, I was really excited to revisit this conversation. And honestly, Detavio is the type of leader that I admire. One that's bold but anchored. One that knows profit is cool, but impact is really your legacy. So I'm glad to share this one with you all. You all can obviously go back and listen to that full episode. It was the season finale of season 1. But again, thanks for tapping into Behind the Mic Bites. Make sure you all subscribe to ICN DJ on YouTube. Just search ICN DJ and Indie Creative Podcast with the ICN DJ. That's me. Will pop up. Drop a comment, a share, and of course, most importantly, subscribe. I'm internationally known on the microphone as Wiz, Wizzy, and Wise, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Behind the Mic, powered by Revolt Podcast Network, is hosted by me, Wise Grisette. Special thanks to the Indie Creative Network and Storytime Studios for editing and producing this podcast.